All right, some breaking news we're following for you at this hour involving that catastrophic helicopter crash in Kentucky. The U.S. Army now confirming all 9 service members who were on board 2 helicopters have been killed in that Fort Campbell crash. Again, it was 2 Army helicopters that crashed during a routine training mission. This, according to military officials. They say the 2 HH-60 Black Hawk choppers went down late last night. This, of course, latest update confirms what we had expected from Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, saying there were fatalities expected. We've now learned that 9 service members have been killed. The crash is under investigations, but we are expected to learn more details at a news conference scheduled for 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Joining us now is the Attorney General of the state of Kentucky, Daniel Cameron. He's also a candidate for governor in the state. Sir, thank you so much for coming on. There's actually a lot of news we're following out of the state of Kentucky, and we're going to get to the recent override of the governor's veto regarding transgender legislation in just a moment. But if you could, just offer a comment on this latest news. Again, 9 service members killed.
Yeah, my heart goes out, as well as my wife Mackenzie's, to the families. And it's always difficult when you lose folks here in the Commonwealth, and in particular our servicemen and women. And so our heart breaks for what happened at Fort Campbell during the training exercise. And just know that we're praying for those families, as I know people all across the nation are. But it's certainly hard and heartbreaking to see this news and to understand this development.
It is. Again, the press conference scheduled for 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, stay with National Report. We'll bring it to our viewers when we learn more details. While we've got you here, sir, I did want to ask you about some other news, of course, coming out of your state. We've got some video so I can talk over what's happening. This were a group of protesters arrested. It all has to do over a gender transition therapy bill for minors. At least 19 people were arrested, charged with criminal trespassing in the state capitol. Kentucky's Democratic governor, Andy Beshear, had vetoed a bill which would ban access to gender-affirming health care for minors. It restricts what bathrooms they can use. Republican lawmakers overriding the veto. Sir, your thoughts on this, how this has developed, and the protests that we saw take place after the override?
Well, look, I applaud the legislature for taking a common sense approach to making sure that we protect our children. And as the Attorney General, I certainly, if given the opportunity to defend the law, will certainly do so. Again, at the end of the day, we are protecting children here in Kentucky. And frankly, there's been a lot of gaslighting around this legislation from the far left media and from some far left folks here in Kentucky. And Andy Beshear has bought into the far left narrative. We are only trying to do what even a lot of European countries have done, which is to protect our children from irreversible procedures that they might ultimately regret. Again, this is to protect the minors here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and we have a responsibility to do so. Someone's got to raise their hand and say enough. We've got to make sure that we have common sense here in Kentucky. We've got to protect our kids from this woke ideology that's making its way into our schools and making its way into our nation. And I, as Attorney General, and hopefully as governor, will do that.
Again, the bill bans surgeries, puberty blockers, and hormone treatments for children under 18, and rejects any requirements by school districts to refer to transgender children by their preferred pronouns. Topics of gender identity and surgeries, hormone-related and also irreversible, have been such a topic in the news recently. We've seen different states take different approaches to the matter. There have been critics within your own state, including by Democratic Representative Pamela Stevenson, strongly opposing the bill. Here's what she had to say, and then I'll get your response on the other side.
First you hated black people, then you hated Jews, now you're hating everybody. So the question is, when it's the only people left are you, will you hate yourself? Power concedes nothing. This house is for the people, by the people, to serve the people, and you won't listen. You go after everybody's kids, but your own.
All right. Kind of hard to make out maybe every word that was said in that, but clearly passionate, calling out Republicans who would have been in favor of this bill. Sir, your response to the critics out there?
Well, she and our governor, Andy Beshear, don't reflect the values, the men, women, and children of all 120 counties. And you need leadership in this state that does so. Again, Andy Beshear and his commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Education have lock, stock, and barrel bought into the far left narrative in this country that we need to focus on and cower to identity politics. And here in Kentucky, the lion's share of the men, women, and children of our 120 counties want common sense to be restored to our governor's office. And that's why I'm running for governor. And if any of your listeners or viewers out there want to know more about our campaign, I encourage them to go for CameronForKentucky.com to find out more. We could always use a little more help. But at the end of the day, this is about restoring common sense to Kentucky. What you see from the far left is them trying to creep into our institutions here, whether it be our education institutions or, quite frankly, into our government. And we need to push back against that and push back against some of the stuff that's coming out of the Biden administration as well.
Well, we definitely saw those protesters make their way into the Capitol while official proceedings were going on. AG Daniel Cameron, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.